As always, there's plenty of light-hearted banter between competitors and crews at the pre-race formalities, but the Four-Wheel Drive Club has been hard at work for months before.
Yes, the Four-Wheel Drive Club was actually formed to stage this event, and in 1975 we had the first event, which was sponsored by Total. It was called the Total Trans-Kalahari. Total were the sponsors until 1979. 1980 IGI stepped in as the sponsor, and then 1981 Toyota stepped in as the sponsor, and they've been the sponsor to date. Logistically for myself, I probably spend 2 weeks up here at various times. As far as the number of people involved, I have in officials, radio guys, paramedics, all the rest of it, 121 people up here at the moment. I would say 80% of the people that we use are Four-Wheel Drive Club members, and the balance, like the paramedics and that, we draw from other resources.
One of the important aspects of pre-race preparation is the driver's briefing. But why is it so important?
Well, as you see, the route has been prepared weeks in advance, and obviously the terrain can change. There can be a storm, something can happen, and there's updates to the route schedule. So what needs to happen is the competitors have to be briefed as to the changes. They have to be told exactly what's going on, as half of these drivers don't read instructions. It's important to change the route schedule. As you'll see, these guys are changing their route schedules for the next day, and you know, we can't take any chances. We want the guys to have everything 100% right for the race. It's compulsory for competitors to attend this briefing.
Race day dawned crisp and chilly as the crews readied themselves for the start. For some reason, and no one's quite fathomed out why, there's always last-minute work to do on a racing car.
Even though the vehicle's been prepped the night before and put into the impound, there's little things to do like top up your fuel. Make sure the tank's 100% before you leave on a 1,000k journey.
This morning we're going to just take it easy until the refuel. Once it starts leveling out, we might pick up our pace. But our aim is to get to the refuel, the overnight stop with everything in order, and tomorrow will be the race back, because 2 years we had the same situation. We were 34 minutes behind at the refuel and we crossed the line first. So the race is actually won or lost on the second day, not on the first day.
Franz Czepek made a welcome return to the sport.
Yeah, beginning of the year started off not too bad. It started with a new car, but next day after Barberspun we had a major accident. I nearly lost my hand, but Stoppers managed to put it together again, and we are back not in full force, but more or less in full force. Last year we won this event, and this year we're going to give it another bash, see what we can do.
From the start at Gaborone, the route took competitors northwest towards the designated service point, which was once again near the village of Leflekeng. Then it was onto a 200-kilometre plus loop, which brought them back to the service points, which also served as the camping grounds for the overnight halt. With no time trial to determine the starting order, competitors were grouped together according to championship points, and then drew lots for their starting position. HENRICH bagged the important start for his Protea Conveyors Toyota Hilux, and his navigator's son Michael had the unenviable task of finding the route, quite a responsibility for a 16-year-old schoolboy. Following them was Marius Bahrain in the Mighty Mag Special, and the Birkin brothers, Andrew and Chris, in the turbo diesel Toyota Hilux. Missing from the lineup were Woolwich and Vermaak, whose Mitsubishi Pajero had suffered engine problems before leaving the base in Pietermaritzburg. Botswana in winter is dry and dusty, and there's little breeze to clear the air for those starting at 30-second intervals behind the HENRICH team. Apart from the discomfort of dust, Bahrain had little protection against the cold in his Mighty Mag. Compare the comfort levels, as the Birkins have a nicely insulated cab. Reiniger and Houghton started fourth, with the Class B special of Billy Bond and Graham Newton completing the top 6 starters.
Well, these competitors now are highly pumped. You know, they've got an adrenaline rush, and it's very important in the first 60 kilometers of the race to concentrate. These guys are going to have a hard time for this first 30 kilometers because it's through a village and it's not very well marked. So the guys don't want to make a mistake then, because the guys are on top of each other and you're going to get past the guy immediately, and it's going to be a big problem because you're going to lose a spot and then you're going to have to drive in his dust.
It didn't take long before Reiniger and Houghton caught up with the HERRICH's less powerful Hilux. As soon as there was room, HERRICH moved over and gave the 4.5-litre Land Cruiser room to pass safely. By this time, Bahrain was enjoying a handy lead, but without a navigator, he was losing precious time as he picked his way through the thorn bushes, and an anxious glance behind him showed that he was expecting to be caught fairly soon. The Birkin brothers were running strongly, and their torquey turbo diesel power seemed ideal for the twisty nature of this section of the route, which even featured a small water splash. Tony Yeo is a hard-charging driver, and the BMW-powered Sabre Land Rover 90 is one of the best-sounding vehicles in off-road racing. And once again, his wife Mandy was in the hot seat reading the route schedules.
This part of the route is taking the guys up towards the mountain pass, and it's very important now that you keep on the track. If you make a mistake, you're going to be taken out, and it's going to take you a long time to get back into the race. So as you'll see, these competitors are being very careful. It's a long way to go. There's nothing to be won by winning the race in the first 30 kilometers. You'll see Richard Carolyn going through there, taking it easy. You'll see later on during the race the guys will take it a little bit harder. But at this stage, you know, the guys have done a lot of preparation on the vehicles, and they don't want to be out the racing back drinking beer after 10 minutes or 20 minutes of racing. Colin Frankenberg and his wife are top competitors. They've been trying hard for the past couple of years, but he enjoys his sport. And as for Bevan Berthold, he's a newcomer to the sport. He's a bit of a hard charger, but I think as he gets older he'll get wiser because his checkbook will get a bit smaller. A nice change is that Franz Chepik Jr. is driving the whole race. The Clarksville crew of Hein Krobler and Charles Bulmerans are going to be very good to beat in the Toyota two-wheel drive Hilux.
Another reliable Toyota Hilux crew are Karel van Vuren and Koffie Vatsveld, who won Class E at the Barbara 500 in March. If there was an award for the unluckiest driver, then surely Nardus Alberts would be in line for it. One year he was forced to spend the night in the desert after his service crew failed to find him before nightfall. Lesotho's Wilfried Vassau missed the first 2 rounds of the season, but ran well in Natal and is looking for a top 3 finish. Last year, Skalkberger raced quads, but purchased the ex-Mike Redden turbo diesel Land Rover for this year. With navigator Douglas Driver, he was looking for a good points haul. Richard Schilling and Ashley Thorne won Class A last year, but a holiday skiing accident resulted in Schilling missing the first 2 rounds of the year. COETZEE and SWANEPOEL have yet to finish a race in their innovative factory-entered Castrol Toyota Hilux double cab turbo.
This innovative vehicle is having teething problems at the moment, but once they get it right, it's going to be a hell of a car.
This Toyota Land Cruiser is in the hands of Cecil Fincham, who has a lot of experience on this race. With navigator Frik de Klerk, they hold 5th place in Class B. On board with Cliff Barker and Heinrich Lattegan as they tackle the little river crossing and head into the blinding sun with a Pennzoil Land Rover V8.
Cliffy's M3 engined Land Rover is going to be very competitive as it's based on RP Reinecke's type of vehicle with the engine backed up, and they're going to be in the front next year.
Nick Harper has a new navigator, Andrew Chalupsky, with him for this season. An hour after the car started, it was time for the quads to leave the starting blocks.